Jake Paul and Mike Tyson have been permanently banned from all future boxing events. Many believe it's a justified consequence, as their actions have arguably damaged the sport's integrity more than any promoter ever could. Now, they face the ultimate judgment, not in the ring, but in the unforgiving court of public opinion. Here's what really happened. Remember those training clips that leaked back in the day, showing Mike Tyson looking like an unstoppable beast? He even busted his coach's lip during sparring. It was all carefully orchestrated to convince the public that Mike was still at his peak. And, to be fair, for a while, everyone believed it.
Fight was scripted. Everyone is talking about this on X, and the script was actually leaked on X a few days ago. Now this script has went viral. Let's see how accurate it was. The opening bell rings, Tyson is showing flashes of his old form, which actually happened. As soon as the bell went, Mike Tyson came out with that head movement, pushing forward. Immediately he stalks forward with his signature bob and weave.
Millions tuned in, hoping for a genuine fight, but what they got was a scripted spectacle. Jake Paul's antics were no surprise. He's always treated boxing as a sideshow. But Mike Tyson, he was meant to restore honor to the sport. Instead, he joined Jake in tarnishing its legacy. Was it worth destroying the trust of fans and betraying the sport he once claimed to love so deeply?
Mike Tyson was right, and I was wrong. You know, you guys know the whole story about Shark Week, and you know, if you don't, I begged him not to do the Roy Jones fight. You're too old. I love you. I don't want to see you take any more punishment. So I set him up on Shark Week. He got paid good money, and he's like, so he almost flipped out the last day and was ready to kill everybody on the boat because he had to jump in with all these sharks again in the middle of Florida. And he's like, asshole says that you know, he cares about me and everything else. I've been fighting since I was 12, and he throws me in the ocean with a bunch of sharks. He was right about that too. But he basically said, I told him, Mike, you're basically 60 years old. And he's like, you honestly think this kid's gonna do anything to me?
Mike Tyson, once a name synonymous with grit and honor, has let fans down in ways we never imagined. After hyping his return with leaked training clips that portrayed him as a powerhouse, he didn't just fall short, he betrayed the very integrity of boxing. Jake Paul, true to form, treated the sport like a cheap reality show. But this time, the stakes were higher, and he had a surprising accomplice, Mike himself. Together, they orchestrated an event that will be remembered not for its greatness, but as a shameless mockery of a sport they claim to respect.
Many are upset over the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, with some people claiming that it was rigged because many people bet a lot of money and they lost a lot of money. Allegedly, there's this script that got leaked showing how the fight was supposed to go down between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. This was actually covered by World Star Hip Hop. So let's read this alleged script and see how the fight was supposed to go down. So round one was supposed to go like this. The opening bell rings and Tyson, showing flashes of his old form, immediately stalks forward with his signature bob and
Just lose a fight. He lost the respect of those who admired him, tarnishing everything he once stood for. Intro 7 reports suggest Jake Paul outright bribed Mike Tyson, ensuring the fight followed a pre-planned script to maximize views and profits. The result? Infamy. Both have now been blacklisted by major boxing organizations. Jake's career ended before it truly began, while Mike shattered his legacy for what? A quick payday at the cost of his reputation.
Like I expected it to be.
What is your assessment of Jake Paul, the boxer?
A very good fighter.
Do you think he deserves respect from the public?
Absolutely.
Hey, that was a good slap. I like that.
Mike Tyson, people talk to. People are there's certain people that are just crazy, man.
Well, these people that think that he don't stand a chance against Jake Paul, they're like, this shouldn't even because he's too old. I was like, I think you're crazy.
Well, they're definitely uninformed.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: he is 57 years old. He will be 58 when they fight. He has had a long fighting career. He has been knocked out by massive men like Lennox Lewis. and Evander Holyfield. You know, he's had a lot of blows. And he's also doing this very unique kind of training with electrical muscular stimulation.
Let's be honest, Jake Paul was never a real boxer. From the start, he cherry-picked opponents to craft an image of success. His victories came against NBA players, retired MMA fighters, and others far past their prime. He avoided facing boxers his own age or skill level, knowing it would expose him. Fame, not the sport, was always his goal. But with this scripted fight, Jake overplayed his hand. He wanted the glory without the effort, the accolades without the risk. Now, the boxing world has turned its back on him. Even his most loyal supporters can't defend him anymore. His dream of being seen as a legitimate athlete is officially over. While Jake's antics were predictable, Mike Tyson's betrayal is what stings the most. This was a man who once embodied hard work and resilience, an icon of a sport. But recent financial struggles appear to have driven him into a corner. Desperation led him to sell out his legacy for a quick paycheck. We understand times can be tough, but sacrificing the integrity of boxing and betraying millions of fans is unforgivable. Mike didn't. In the end, this fight was a lose-lose for everyone. Jake Paul's boxing career is finished, and Mike Tyson's reputation lies in ruins. They had an opportunity to create something meaningful, but instead exploited their fans for short-term profit. The boxing world deserves better. And it's now evident that neither Jake nor Mike has a place in it anymore.
At any point, did you start to take your foot off the gas just a little bit because you knew he was tiring out?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a bit. You know, I wanted to give the fans a show.
The alleged blacklisting of Jake Paul and Mike Tyson isn't as definitive as it sounds. Boxing lacks a single governing body, so blacklist here means a collective resistance from promoters and venues. For Jake, it translates to fewer opportunities to book high-profile opponents and prestigious venues. For Tyson, it's about doors subtly closing, doors that were once wide open to a living legend of the sport. However, there's an undeniable elephant in the room: money. Both Jake and Mike are massive revenue generators. Jake's fights have reportedly pulled in around $75 million in pay-per-view revenue, while Tyson's exhibitions remain top-selling events. Numbers like these are hard for the industry to ignore. Boxing, after all, is as much a business as it is a sport. So, why would the industry risk turning away two of its biggest moneymakers?
You can take from beating an old Mike Tyson,
I believe he actually won the first 2 rounds. Jake Paul probably won the rest of them. Mike Tyson's legs were gone, man. They were gone. And I believe Ryan, I got to give Ryan credit on this one, man. Because Ryan, from Sports Wars, he did say that there would be like a no knockout clause.
Some insiders argue the issue isn't just about tradition or credibility, it's about power. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson operate outside boxing's traditional hierarchy. Jake's most valuable promotions, which he co-founded, gives him unprecedented control over his career, bypassing big promoters like Bob Arum or Eddie Hearn. This independence makes him a disruptor. Tyson, on the other hand, has become bigger than the sport itself. He doesn't need boxing anymore, but boxing still relies on his legendary name. Fans are understandably divided. Jake Paul's younger audience thrives on the drama he brings: flashy entrances, over-the-top press conferences, and viral social media antics make him more than just a fighter. He's a showman. Critics, however, view him as emblematic of a deeper issue: the increasing commercialization of boxing. To them, Jake represents a shift where spectacle overshadows authenticity, raising questions about the sport's future.
Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. What do we got? Mike Tyson is 58 years old. Jake Paul is 27. 31-year difference. Most of us wanted to see Mike Tyson win. The nostalgia, we rock with Mike. A lot of us support Mike. Jake Paul, you know, the famous YouTuber that stepped into boxing.
Mike Tyson's situation is more nuanced. While most fans revere him for his contributions to boxing, his recent activities have sparked debate. Some view his exhibitions as an enjoyable way to keep his legacy alive, while others worry they diminish his achievements. Watching a 57-year-old Tyson trade punches with YouTubers might be entertaining, but it's far removed from the glory of his championship days. Despite their differences, Tyson and Jake Paul share a common thread. They challenge boxing's establishment. Jake is carving his own path, attempting to prove that a YouTuber can become a serious fighter. Tyson, meanwhile, is redefining what it means to be a boxer after one's prime. Together, they represent a shift in the sport, demonstrating that boxing doesn't have to follow the same old rules. However, the boxing world isn't ready to embrace these changes. It clings to tradition despite declining viewership and a lack of new stars. By sidelining Jake and Tyson, the industry risks alienating the very audiences that could help revitalize the sport and secure its future.
What do you think of the fight? It wasn't a good one. Yeah. Overall, how'd you just see how Jake fought and how Mike fought? Well, you know, you can tell something was wrong with Tyson's leg, so he couldn't. His balance was off. Oh, that's crazy. You noticed that. I just talked to his trainer and he told me that exact thing. Yeah. His balance was off. His balance was off.
Jake Paul and Mike Tyson may have been blacklisted, but they're far from fading away. Jake's next move could see him transitioning to MMA, with hints of a potential fight under the Professional Fighters League, PFL. Tyson, on the other hand, remains a cultural icon, with ventures spanning from TV shows to his rapidly growing cannabis brand. Both have built empires that extend far beyond the boxing ring, meaning they don't need the approval of the boxing establishment. If anything, this blacklisting may only serve to reinforce their image as outsiders, disruptors who refuse to follow the traditional rules. Love them or hate them, Jake and Mike have proven one thing: boxing is far more interesting when they're involved. The so-called blacklist isn't about official bans, but rather certain promoters and venues refusing to work with them. For Jake, it's his reputation as a celebrity boxer that causes friction. Critics argue he's more interested in making money than rising through the ranks, with his opponents, retired MMA fighters and influencers, hardly seen as elite competition. Tyson's issue lies in his willingness to blur the lines between sport and entertainment. While nostalgic fans may enjoy seeing Iron Mike back in the ring, purists see it as a distraction from the real action. Ironically, both Jake and Tyson are massive moneymakers. Jake's fights have brought in over $75 million in pay-per-view revenue since his debut, while Tyson's exhibition with Roy Jones Jr. was the highest-selling pay-per-view event of 2020. They're not just fighters, they're brands. Yet, the boxing establishment, ever concerned with its image, seems to value tradition over revenue when it comes to these two. The argument is that their presence undermines the sport's integrity, though some would argue that ships sailed long ago, considering boxing's own history of corruption and controversy.